Cassandra Foster here. Good morning. I just wanted to talk more about personal self-development today. One of the things that I've been working on, hear the birds chirping, is pushing past that fear of caring about being excellent. You know, sometimes we allow ourselves to only go so far because of the people around us, the way we've been raised, our family. This week has been really hard, you know. I lost a cousin this week, and in the midst of losing this cousin, you know, death brings up a lot of the dysfunction that you have going on in your life. And so a lot of dysfunctional things that are going on within my family begin to come out. Physical abuse, sexual abuse, finding out about people being molested, or having that animosity against their parents. All of that started coming out, and unfortunately, most of it was handled on social media, you know. And I find that a lot of people begin to do that because they don't talk to each other. They don't spend quality time anymore because of the past traumas and, the dysfunction that goes on within the family. And so while I was going through this, you try not to get involved, or you try not to say anything, but I began posting some of the old things from my business website. And I began to reflect on my last conversation with the cousin that had passed away. And I didn't know anything that had happened to him or anything that he was going through, but he had called me after coming across my website and reading through my content, and we began to talk about it and to discuss it, and he encouraged me. You know what I mean? He never called to get encouragement. He just called to say that he had seen all the content, and his last words to me was, "Cuz, you helping people and you don't even know it." And he told me to keep going and don't quit. And that has stuck with me this whole time, because when you start talking about abuse, narcissistic abuse, sociopathic abuse, trafficking, all of it, when you start talking about it, a lot of people don't want to hear you, but speaking out is a form of healing. So I just want to encourage you today to continue speaking out, continue writing your story, talk to as many people as you can, get as much help as you can, because in order to stop it, you have to talk about it. I walked into an office years ago when I came out of my situation, and it's been 8 years since I've been completely free. When I walked into the office of my ex-husband was on parole, or on probation, and so I walked into the office of the probation officer, and on her wall was a sign that read, "Domestic violence feeds on silence." And I submit that to you today. All abuse feeds on silence. Your choice to be quiet enables the abuser to get away. It enables them to keep abusing people, because all they do is find other ways. Okay? They don't stop. They just find other ways and other people who do not know about the situation to continue that cycle, So how do you stop it? Well, you have to say something, and that's what bothered me this past week was your family, when they're in dysfunction and it's dysfunctional, they will make you feel like you're going crazy, or you're crazy for sharing the things that you're sharing, or for talking about the things that you're talking about. They will ignore you, try to brush it off, and the very person that was the main perpetrator in a lot of abuse refuses to acknowledge what's been done. And if you refuse to acknowledge what's been done, how can you heal and move on? How can you help? Okay? Hey, so I found another good spot. I got a family of ducks standing behind me. It's little things like this that makes me happy nowadays, I don't live in the past. Although I've gone through a lot of things, I try not to stay there. I do try to move forward. I grew up not far from here. Well, I grew up in Lorain, Ohio, but my family moved near this park when I was about 13, 14. And so I got to spend teenage years here. And I went through a lot, had to live with friends and, be in the foster care system and dealing with my own personal trauma, the things that were happening in our home. Um, you know, I could be worse though, right? I could be disappointed, mad, upset, use that as an excuse to hurt others, but I don't, and that leads me to the next part of our discussion. Unfortunately, when abuse and trauma is going on in the home, it doesn't just stay there. It tends to come out in other ways. I have another family member who abused others because he had been abused and is now serving a long-term prison sentence because of that. And it's a consequence of not getting help sooner, okay? So when we late, there are detrimental consequences that we have to deal with that could have probably been avoided had we had dealt with the situation early, okay? And I know a lot of times, it's nerve-wracking to go to the police, especially people of color. You worry about them being killed by the police or being murdered in jail or suffering through consequences that are way worse than what's going on, okay? But we have to do something. Just getting outside help can help. Domestic violence programs are good. In Columbus, Ohio, we have Choices, which is run and operated by Lutheran Social Services. So reach out, talk to an advocate, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and they have a 1-800 number, so it's a free call. It's not like you have to pay for it. You can call from anywhere and reach out to someone. I remember when I was going through and I needed to talk to someone, and I called the hotline, and the woman was able to talk to me for a long time. You know what I mean? She put me on hold when she had other callers, but she gave me good resources to reach out and to get help. Okay, so it is available. There's just no more excuses for allowing things to happen to you, and there's too many resources and too many people talking about it and too many people going through it for you not to reach out and to change the situation. Okay, as part of personal development is growth and changing things and not staying in the same place. Okay, all right, I'm gonna soften up a bit with some video footage of this river. Y'all hear that water? It can help you in healing. It's my duck family moving on. All right, I'm gonna continue walking and continue talking. All right. All right. Now I'm sitting in front of this pretty cool statue. It looks like open hands, okay? Sitting here just kind of reminded me of an event that happened in high school. The end of 9th grade year, one of my classmates was actually killed by her boyfriend. And she was shot in the face by him. And that story, I remember where I was. I remember what I was doing. I remember who I was with when this transpired. And we were only in the 9th grade, so we would have been about 15 years old that summer. And it was the last day of school, the very next day that this was on the news. One of the things that bothered me is that we don't talk about it. This has been over 20 years ago. It's never mentioned. I really didn't know her family, so I don't want to say any names or anything of that nature, but I can just tell you that affected me and it traumatized me to the point of I started standing up for myself in my own home, and then I was sent away to Cincinnati, which was fine because that's when my life started turning around. I actually got my GED a year early and was able to stay in Cincinnati and to work. I did construction for a few years. I had a carpenter certificate, and I still utilize that today to fix on my house. So the things you see me doing in my home is because I went to school for it, you know. And not that I needed that, but at that time I did, you know. I would have rather have been there than to have continued on with the same cycles that were being repeated. Okay. Many domestic violence situations end in death. And once they say that they are going to do it, they're going to do it. So you need to believe them, take that seriously, and get out. Okay? I feel like I am unpacking so many things in this video, you know, and I am, because as I said earlier, sometimes we hold ourselves back because of things that have happened to us and the people in our life, in our circle. And one of the things that I'm working on this summer is pushing past that. You know what I mean? Even with the weight loss issue. You know, I was able to lose the 78 pounds, and I want to lose about 30 more, okay, to be where I want to be. And one of the things that I realized was I started gaining weight because I was being pursued by a married man from 13 to 16, you know, and I kept telling on him and kept telling on him and kept telling on him. And then his wife believed that I was pursuing him, and I'm like, how? I don't even know what that is. You know what I mean? So to make myself unattractive, I started gaining the weight, you know. At least that's what I thought I was doing, was making myself unattractive. You know what I mean? But as a 13-year-old kid, you know, I didn't have the right resources to make the right decision for myself. You know what I mean? So you start acting out and lashing out and doing things differently, you know? Overeating became my way of coping with that, you know? And it wasn't right, but that's what I knew to do. So that's what I did. So pushing past being average or being mediocre, you know what I mean? One of the things I work on is coming out here and thinking about that. You know, when God put together the world, just think if he would have half did it, you know, we wouldn't be able to enjoy some of the things that we're enjoying now. And so first, that's what I'm working on. I'm working on my mind, you know, and then I'm working on my spirit. And then I'm working on my body. You know what I mean? So all three work hand in hand, but you got to get all three together, okay? So as I'm changing, I'm just hoping to share my development process with you so that you can work on yourself too, you know? I can't sit here and lie and say it's easy. Some days it's easy. I pop up and I'm like, yay! But then some days I'm like, oh my God, I don't feel like doing anything, okay? And that's just the truth, you know? So I take it one day at a time, and I just try to keep going and try to keep moving forward and try to keep putting one foot in front of the other, you know, so that I can. As I get my mind together, yeah, I'm going to work on the body image issues and how I see myself, you know what I mean? Because how others see you really doesn't matter, because if you lack confidence, they're not going to have confidence in you. So it's really a matter of how I see myself, okay? And being able to come out in nature just helps me to think along those lines. Until next time, guys, I love you all. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.